Hello and welcome to the Missed Q. I'm your host, Ricky, and with me is my guest, Peyton Parks.
Hello.
How are you, Peyton?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. A little fireside chat with Peyton Parks. We wanted to do this because you're heading off to college.
Yeah,
And
I'm super excited.
Yeah. So
I'm happy to be here.
since you've already done an episode where our listeners got to know you, I just kind of wanted to have some fun with some fun questions.
Yeah.
I came up with some and you were told to come up with some.
Yes.
So we can exchange some questions and answers. So I say we just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so
Sounds good.
who should go first? Should we Rochambeau?
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh.
Okay. Does that mean I go?
Yeah. That means I go.
Okay, I'm just going to get
I'm
to
nervous.
it. I'm just going to get to it. Should I start off with like one of my only serious ones or?
Start off with whatever you like. Silly,
Okay.
serious, I'm good with whatever.
Okay.
We'll get to all of them.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
I've heard people say that you're like a mini Lauren Blaine.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
Personally, I'm very flattered. I love Lauren with my entire heart. She's like my second mom, and I've always looked up to her and been so inspired by her. So I take that as a huge compliment. Seriously, I do. When people tell me that, I'm like, thank you so much.
Oh, so you've heard it before?
Yeah, I have. Heard
Okay,
that.
okay. Wow. See?
But I think she's an amazing, talented woman. Yeah, she's definitely has so many traits and qualities that I admire, and I've learned so much from her throughout the years. I would not be the dancer, performer, even part of the person I am without her guidance. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay, your turn.
Mine is very different.
That's fine. That's like the most serious one I had. So go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll pick a serious one right now.
Okay.
What role have you played that grew you the most as an actor?
As an actor,
Yes, or as a person.
like
but
like challenging.
yeah, which role did you think was like a pivotal moment in your acting career?
Okay,
Like, what did you learn the most from?
My Fair Lady.
Okay.
I played Professor Higgins, and I'm obviously very young for that role. If anybody knows that role, I would imagine like a male in his 50s should play that role. And I was super young, but also there's so much dialogue in it. And to me, with my friends and the people that I know who come to see the shows, it's not the most exciting show, and it's a very long show. So I felt like that was more for me than the audience.
Okay.
In a way, I kind of said like, well, no matter if people find it boring or whatever, I'm just going to dive into this because number one, it was a professor of English,
Yeah.
the English language. And the very first number, he's talking about all these different dialects. And I thought, man, I have to nail this character's dialect because he talks about how he can pinpoint where people are from just from how they speak and stuff. So it was one that I really just embraced, kind of method acting for that one.
Yeah, and I'm sure as a young actor that was like really challenging but really rewarding.
It was.
After doing that.
Yeah, and that's actually, I met Jim Lusk during that
Oh,
process.
wow.
That was our first show together.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really
That was
special.
great.
Aw.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. Okay, I'm gonna just go in order. How do you deal with the haters?
I don't know. I ignore them. I don't think I really have that many haters. I try to be likable and
I think you're super
friendly.
hyper focused. So,
Yeah, I like-
not that I heard anybody hating on you at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I am very hyper focused. I'm very passionate about what I do and very serious about it. I could not imagine myself doing anything else. And so I think my whole life when I decided to become really serious about it at probably middle school age, I decided, well, as the kids say, I need to lock in. I need to lock in. And
Is that what the kids say?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I say.
Okay.
Like, oh, I got to lock in. And I just got really focused on what I love to do and what I knew was going to be good for me. And in my mind, that was performing. And so when I hear that someone has said something bad about me, I like to look at it in a way of, hey, I've done my part and I've put in my work. and I'm continuing to put in my work, so it doesn't really affect me as much, or I try not to let it affect me because I know I'm here and I know what I need to do to better myself as a person and a performer.
Yeah, I think it's important to learn that you don't need to explain yourself to other people,
Yeah.
because nobody really knows the whole story about
course.
anybody in any way, really.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any pre-show rituals?
Pre-show rituals. It's more of an exercise to help me with diction.
Okay.
I have a playlist of rap songs that I have loved for a long time.
I love that.
And so some of these songs are very fast rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I rap along with it, but I enunciate everything so it sounds super like
Broadway-esque,
yes.
musical theater rap.
Yes. So it's a diction thing for me. So I don't sound like the rapper at all. I sound very white when I do it. Only because it's very much like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that is so smart, actually. I might have to take that.
Yeah, because it's a real challenge.
Yeah.
Depending on the songs that you pick.
Especially because a lot of rappers, I feel like, kind of slur their words sometimes.
Yes.
And to take those songs and do them with perfect theater diction.
You over enunciate.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a good exercise.
So that's on the way down. I do some vocal exercises, but
Yeah.
I make sure in the car to do some rap songs.
I love that. Is that your only pre-show ritual?
Yeah, that's my only consistent pre-show ritual.
Oh, nice, nice.
Okay, this is a fun one.
Ooh, I'm
All
excited.
right, okay. If you could jump inside a story and live in that world of one of your shows, which would it be?
Like a show I've been in already?
Like a show that you've been in already, that you can jump in that world and live in it.
Oh, shoot. This is really difficult. I've been in so many shows I feel like that I really enjoy that I don't know. Yeah, where's the list, actually? Bring me the list. Honestly, I would like to have one day. I wasn't at Grace Arts, but at the high school, I would like to have one day where I live in Alice by Heart. All full time, obviously.
In the asylum?
Yeah. Or they're in a tube station. It's not an asylum.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
I don't know. I had a phase in my life where I was really intrigued in World War II and stuff and the history behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awful, but really intriguing.
Yeah.
And so
just want to spend a day there real quick.
maybe I won't say that. I'll pick a different show. Guys and Dolls. Scratch that. Guys and Dolls. Be a little hot box dancer.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Although a show I really want to be in and would love to live in that world, not forever, but for a couple days probably, is Hair. I want to be in Hair, and
Okay.
I really like 60s fashion, and
It sounds like the question should be what show world would you want to visit and maybe not live in?
okay, yeah.
Okay.
I would like to visit Hair. I've never been in that show, but I think it would be a fun time for a visit.
Interesting. Why?
I don't know. I'm really intrigued with 60s fashion and culture.
Everybody's naked in that show. What do you mean fashion?
They're not naked the whole show.
Oh, I don't know. I've never really seen it.
Okay. If you could go to dinner with any actor, dead or alive, who would it be?
Jimmy Stewart.
You love It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, I do very much.
Yeah. Okay, but what would be some questions you would ask him?
I would ask him about his approach to some of the characters he's played. There was a movie called Harvey, which I think was ahead of its time, and he basically had this imaginary friend in it, and Harvey was this rabbit that he saw. So that was kind of a different role than you normally see. He's done other stuff like Rear Window, which was a psychological thriller, and then he's done stuff like It's a Wonderful Life, which is my favorite movie of all time. I love George Bailey so much. I want to be just like him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be it. I'd ask him about his acting methods and
Just get some advice. Just talk to
Yeah.
him. Just seems like a cool guy.
yes,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love his vibe.
I love that. Good vibes.
Yes, good vibe. Okay,
Okay. Are we getting serious
we're
again?
getting a little serious now.
Okay.
You seem so confident in your ability on stage. What's one thing that you consistently get nervous about?
One thing I get really nervous about is I when I was younger, I was pretty self-taught. I didn't really take very many voice lessons. My mom isn't a singer or anything like that, and no one in my family really is. And so it was kind of just something that I grew a passion for by myself. And they're super supportive, obviously. But I was, for the most part, self-taught. And when I did start getting trained, I was more classically trained. And so, I don't know, sometimes when I get these bigger belty roles, I have a hard time getting over my head, like out of my head for it.
Well, so what do you do in that case?
Practice. A lot of practice. I always know I can do it, but it's difficult at first.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like out of my comfort zone. And even though I love it and I want to keep growing that and keep pushing that little bit of fear in me out of me, it is something that I am uncomfortable with, but I welcome uncomfiness.
Right.
I think it's a great thing.
Sometimes it is nice to be in a role where you're like, oh, this is my total comfort zone.
Yes.
Because then it's just pure fun.
Yeah. But it is good to
push yourself.
Yeah, push yourself. And I always get kind of nervous too. I don't know, just being those bigger roles that have bigger, not as like soprano head voice singing.
Like
you know?
belty stuff.
Like belty stuff. And I get scared that it's not going to sound good or that, I don't know, something's going to be off with it. But I work hard on it and it has never failed necessarily. So yeah. I'm keep growing.
Why fix what's not broken, right?
Well, you got to keep practicing. I am always practicing. So
yeah, that's the key.
How do you get over any jitters if you have any? Like, do you have a routine or?
You know, I get nervous at auditions just like anybody else, for sure. And I remember when I was a kid, my dad told me, like, if you go up there and you're not nervous at all, because my dad was always so confident, he acted like, oh, whatever, I'll just get up and do anything. Right? He always acted like it was no big deal. And then one time he told me, like, I get nervous all the time. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So the way I get over it is basically running through the show from curtain up to final curtain in my head. I just run through the whole show.
Nice.
So it's in those times where I really, I'm hyper focused like you get, and I don't necessarily have a consistent ritual because not all shows call for that focus.
Of course not. No.
So for the bigger roles, it's like you just hope people understand, like, don't bother me. We're going on in 30 minutes and I have a lot to do.
I'm not mad at anyone. I'm just trying to focus on me and my show.
Right.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So
with the everyone gets nervous thing, I totally agree with you. When I'm auditioning or I'm nervous for a show, I kind of think like that too. If you're nervous, it means you care.
There you go. Right? I like that.
And I think adrenaline, some people say adrenaline kills your auditions or kills your shows, but I personally think that adrenaline makes it way better.
Helps me out when people when things go wrong on stage and your blood gets pumping, like, okay, oh my gosh, this is it.
It gives you like a rush.
Yes.
And you're like, ooh, I have to.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I have to lock in.
Yeah. And you kind of look around at all your castmates and you're like, okay, guys, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
How can we fix this? Let's have some fun.
Yes, I agree. I think honestly, a little bit of adrenaline is helpful because then it really puts you in the moment of the show, not just like running the motions.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you do a show for a while or you've been practicing a show for a while, you can get kind of in the motions of things, you know?
Right.
And kind of forget why you love the show.
And forget that the audience is seeing it for the first time.
Right. You may have done it a million times, but they haven't seen it a million times. It's fresh to them, so it has to be fresh to you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Love that. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Could you ever see yourself doing voice acting?
I could. That is something that I would be willing to do. And it's funny because I've actually had a couple people come up to me and tell me I should do that. And I definitely would do that. I think it'd be really cool to, I don't know, hear my voice.
I mean, people that listen to this podcast know that you obviously have a great speaking voice, and you know,
thank you, listeners.
It would sound great on a cartoon. Just saying,
right?
Any casting directors out there? It
was after I did Gingy and Adelaide too. I think it was Chris Rydell actually. He said, hey, would you ever do voice acting? Like, you're pretty good at finding these characters.
Yeah, those two roles are really character-y.
Yeah, and I typically don't play too many character-y roles, but I love when I get the chance to because that's another thing that I think really pushes me out of my box, and I'm up for a challenge. I like to do my research and I like to create fun characters. and also put a little bit of me in it too. And so I think that was really fun for Gingy, because I watched like the Broadway version, I watched the movie, and I watched Lauren's version, and I kind of had to meld them all together to create my own. And same with Adelaide. Even I watched your guys' version with Lauren, and then I watched like the movie and the Broadway version. And
and Lauren nailed it. So
both of those roles.
Yeah.
And so it was a really good way to prep myself and get inspiration, because they were fantastic, but also find my own version of those characters.
Yes.
You know, still be unique to myself and the character at the same time.
Yeah, you don't want to just reproduce what was done before.
Right. So yeah, I love finding new voices and accents and stuff, so I definitely would go into voice acting. I think that would be super cool and super fun.
Yeah, I did a cartoon.
Oh, really?
I did.
Was it fun? Was it a good experience?
It was fun. It was a good experience. It was weird.
I love watching like the reels of people who are voice acting and like, when they're doing it, and they have to do lines over and over again. I just saw
one of the guy recording One Jump from Aladdin.
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
Yeah. Honestly, if I ever got the chance to be in something like that, like a Disney movie, or even if it was a musical in a cartoon, I would definitely be all over that. So.
Yeah, even if it's just once, check that off the bucket list.
Yeah, right?
You know? Oh my gosh, it'd be awesome.
Cool.
I can see you being a Disney princess. You know,
oh, thank you.
In the new generation.
That's a giant compliment.
Yeah.
What character have you played that reminds you most of yourself?
Wow. Okay, hold on a second. Hand me the list. I hate to say Sweet Charity, because at the very end of the show, he becomes such a horrible person.
Well, it can be part of a show. It doesn't have to be like the entire character as an entire, like, you know. For me, my two that I would meld together probably are Belle and Olive. So
yeah, sweet characters that don't even need to have redeemable qualities, because they're just so sweet.
They have their feisty moments, though. Well, Belle does.
I guess there's certain aspects of certain characters that I think...
you can name a couple.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be one.
I would say Phil from White Christmas.
Okay.
He's a little bit goofy. He tries to charm his way out of situations.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to say Phil from Groundhog Day, and I was like,
oh no.
I love that show, but I was like, what? I don't think so.
Gosh, what was the other one? Okay, so the one character that I felt was more of a natural, regular person that I didn't feel like, that I felt was most like, this is just
organic
me.
Yeah.
Yes, organic, was Emmett from Legally Blonde.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. And he's very chill, like kind of nonchalant guy, but still cares. So yeah, I understand that, actually.
Take it or leave it kind of guy, whatever.
Chip on my shoulder.
Like, exactly. Like a duck, I let it roll off his back, whatever, you know. Yeah, so that's the character that I would pick.
Yeah, that's a great choice. You know?
Yeah, it was when I played that character, to me it was very flat as far as characters I've played before that, which were very animated, and even like Riff in West Side Story, for instance. I played that like a year before that, and Riff is all like, come on, when you gotta do the thing, you gotta do the thing, you know?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. That was terrible. I'm gonna cut that out.
Oh my god.
Anyway, but it was just very different from other stuff that I played. What was I talking about? Emmett. I just really liked Emmett. Yeah. He's kind of a hopeless romantic, a little old school in his ideals. He's basically who I wish I was.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that.
My turn, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you can act alongside any Broadway actor, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ah, shoot. That's really difficult. This is so hard, because I would like to say there's so many amazingly talented people on Broadway that I would love to get a penny of knowledge from and just, you know, work beside them. But I'm so inspired by young actors specifically right now, because I'm kind of in that phase, or people who started younger in life, like Ava Noblezada is one of them, who played the original Eurydice in Hadestown, and many other roles. And I think she's very talented. He's not an actor, but he's a writer. And I would love to be in Steven Sater's, one of his shows. He wrote Spring Awakening and Alice by Heart.
Yeah.
And he gives a lot of opportunity to young actors and kind of unknown people. But I think he started so many people's careers and gave them so much knowledge on just acting in general. And like Leah Michele and Jonathan Groff, like those two performers would not be where they are right now without Steven Sater's work. And just everyone I've heard in interviews talk about working with him, it's been an amazing experience.
I feel like he's
They
just
never
so
forget.
artistic and really leaves just enough to the audience's imagination,
Yeah.
but still letting you know what you need to know. And
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think he is very experimental, which I think is a super good experience for actors, you know, to kind of have a director or a writer or whatever, producer, whoever, that lets you kind of make your own assumptions with the show and characters.
Yes.
And kind of grow those relationships on your own in the guidelines of the show.
I can't even imagine like writing a show and writing these characters and then handing it off to
Right?
an actor, and that
Especially
actor
a
is
young
going to go,
actor.
yes,
Yeah, right?
and they're going to take it and go, well, what's my version of this? Well, how am I going to perform this character? And the writer obviously has this idea in their head, but they know they have to let that go and kind of meld and come to an understanding.
No, I agree. So
Like originating roles on Broadway. I've
yeah.
thought about that. And I'm like, oh man, what pressure.
right?
I
That's
could never
definitely on
imagine.
my, like, or maybe not even on Broadway, but like just in general, originating a role. Like that's on my bucket list. Like that sounds so difficult, but so rewarding.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine getting that on your belt?
Right?
Oh,
And imagine
man.
like 10 years later and another place is doing the show or whatever, or they're making a remake if it's a movie or something, and someone else is only has your version to look at.
Yeah.
Right? Because you originated the character.
And they're
It's so cool.
like, oh gosh, I can only hope to do it as well as Peyton
oh
did
my
it.
goodness.
I mean, you never know.
But I think, I don't know, that's something that's really awesome, and I would love to do that. I really like Steven Sater's work.
So,
and most of the
okay, I
actors that are in
love
his
that.
work.
So it's not necessarily an actor that you picked that you would work in scenes together.
Yeah.
You want somebody who you're going to work through the whole process with.
See, yeah, that's kind of where
Wow.
most of my head goes, because there are so many amazingly talented Broadway people that I would love to work with, give anything to work with in my hopefully long career ahead of me.
Yeah, but there's different categories, and you picked somebody
Yeah.
who represents every category. Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of power in working with good producers and good directors or writers, and I think the creative team is just as important as the cast.
It's a collaborative art.
Yeah.
No
And
question.
so another thing is, right now my current obsession is Jack Wolf. He is a performer on the West End, and he's in Next to Normal. He plays Gabriel in Next to Normal. I think that's his name. And I keep watching his videos because he's
We
so
all know you
amazingly
love the
talented.
West End.
I do
almost
love the
more
West
than
End.
Broadway.
Depends. It depends. But
You said some of the shows.
some of the shows, because some shows start on the West End before transferring to Broadway. And so I think that is cool and sometimes underlooked. But Jack Wolf, he actually was just in the Spring Awakening reunion on the West End with Steven Sater. And he is so amazingly talented. And I would love to work with him too. He's kind of a new discovery in my world, but I'm very
but that's
intrigued
what
by
you're
him.
about, and that's why we love to have you on.
Right? He's so talented. He's 28 and he looks 17. He looks younger than me, I think. So that's amazing as it is too.
Oh, wow.
So he's talented. The whole new Next Normal cast is amazing. I want to transfer to Broadway. I'm hoping.
So if it does, you're there. You're getting a ticket and you're seeing
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, actually, my family's going to London for Christmas, and so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's still playing with the same people. when I'm
Okay,
there.
well, if you are on that trip and seeing that, we want some content
A
filmed
review?
for
Yeah.
us. Yeah, a little
I
review.
will, with Cassie Levy.
like
Cassie
at the
Levy,
theater,
yeah.
you send us videos of you at the theater.
Oh, I will.
Yes.
Because that's like one of my favorite shows. I think it's amazing and important. And the new cast and the way they revamped it is so original and so cool. I'm very into original takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Because we just talked to Lauren and she was like, I love classics. That's it.
Which I love classics too. But I think it's really cool when someone takes something that's been done so many like ways the same way though, and then they change it a little.
Okay. Let's move on because I have a question like that. Okay. So it's your turn, I think.
Yes. This one's kind of silly. This one.
I love silly. Let's do it.
What's your favorite accent to do?
My favorite accent to do? Ooh, drunk cowboy.
Oh, let me hear it.
Of an elderly age.
Ooh, I need to hear it. I've never heard you do this one.
Gosh.
This sounds like a Ricky Van original. Well, maybe there'll be a role for you, and the listeners will be like, "Hey."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now I'm put on the spot. I don't have any lines like that. Let me think of a different one. Honestly, a Southern accent I think is the easiest. It's the most forgiving.
That was actually the first accent I did on stage.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it can easily sound bad.
And I remember when I did that accent, actually, Lauren would not let me not talk in that accent because I couldn't get it right away. Because it's easy, but it's also difficult. And so we'd be like out of rehearsal, like in dance class, and she's like, "Why are you not talking in a Southern accent? Let's hear it."
Yeah, accents are tough because I am the type to listen to dialect CDs or YouTube videos nowadays. But I always make sure to basically have my dialect coach in the car with me.
Yeah.
And practicing all the time. The thing is, there's a lot of pressure with certain accents. I've done a New York accent in several shows, and there's obviously different dialects within New York.
Yes.
And I had somebody come up to me after working, and I played an iron worker from New York. This guy, straight up from Queens, comes up to me after the show and tells me that it was the worst accent he's ever heard in his life.
Oh.
Right after a performance. And I gotta be honest, that hurt.
Yeah,
that
of course
hurt to hear that, but it is what it is, Yes. And that I'm not saying that he was wrong.
No.
Or right, but
it's definitely subjective. Everyone has their own opinion.
Well, and when somebody from where you're trying to sound like
says that
you're like,
hurts your feelings a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, they know what they're talking about. I did have a guy after My Fair Lady. That was one that I truly focused on. Hardcore was like, I want to nail this.
Yeah.
Which I've already stated is the essence of the character. Is his knowledge of that. Somebody from England came up to me and they said, "Oh, you made me miss home so much. You sounded so good.
That's
Thank
so
you."
rewarding.
Yeah, so there was that end of the spectrum. So I've had both for sure. But it depends. Like for My Fair Lady, I did a mix between Stewie from Family Guy and Rex Harrison. Which, funnily enough,
those are two very
Stewie from Family Guy is based off of Rex Harrison. Actually,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I kind of combined the two, which it came out with the way it did, and just very pompous. And I really enjoyed that just because it was the "I'm better than you" accent, and it was like. Yeah, so that one was fun. I've done a Scottish accent, which was very challenging, and I don't think I pulled it off at all. Because, I mean, what's the difference between Scottish and Irish? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. It's hard because in different languages and accents, there's, fine lines kind of between multiple.
Yeah, you might have neighboring countries that sound different, but it's just tough to make the distinction.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it really answered your question, but
it's okay because I now have some knowledge on accents you've done and
Yeah. Okay, this might not work. This is a very experimental question. If there was a musical written about the last dream you had, what would it be about?
Well, the last dream I had, I was in my car and I was listening to a new album that came out.
Even in her dreams.
It wasn't a musical though.
Oh.
Yeah. One of my favorite non-musical theater artists, her name's Claire Cottrell, and I really enjoy her music, and she just had a new album come out, and in my dream I was listening to her album, and specifically my favorite song on the album is called Juna.
Okay.
And that's kind of my calm down music.
So maybe it's a musical about being stuck in traffic.
Maybe.
And it's a jukebox musical.
Yeah, it would be a jukebox musical.
And you just listen to stuff on the radio. We're writing a musical right now as we speak.
Yeah. Okay. It'd be a little indie pop musical then, because that's kind of that's my music when I'm not listening to musical theater. I typically am listening to calm indie pop.
Okay. So we have a main character who basically, it's like the movie Falling Down, if anybody's ever seen that. So no, it's an old movie.
Yeah, I've not seen the movie.
But anyway, it starts off with somebody stuck in traffic. But this guy...
It's like La La Land. La La Land starts off with someone stuck in traffic.
I haven't seen La La Land.
I watched that movie like 2 days ago. Yeah, you need to watch that. That's kind of crazy.
I know. Ugh.
And it might be transferring to Broadway, so you need to get to that.
Oh my gosh, I need to be
You know
on
what
it.
is transferring to Broadway? Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, the play.
There's a parody on Broadway HD.
Yeah, it's like a...
I didn't watch it.
The one that's going to Broadway is like a play. And I guess it was on the West End. That's how it's transferring to Broadway.
Oh.
And it has... The pictures are amazing. Like, wow, super expensive, amazing.
Really?
But apparently a lot of people think it's like the best play ever. Like, super amazing. So it's transferring.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Your
To
turn.
the Marquise Theater, which I've actually been there. So that's cool. I haven't seen a show there, but I stayed in that hotel.
You understand you're our correspondent now. When you travel to theaters, you have to send us pictures and stuff that we can...
Okay, I will. Anywhere. It doesn't matter what theater it
Yes.
is. I'll just do it anywhere. What random talent do you have that has been showcased in a show? Like an example would be like juggling or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I really don't have any random
Or like-
talents.
What's your theater party trick?
Okay, so there's one thing that I like to throw in any chance that I get, and it's anytime I have like a top hat or fedora, anything with a brim. Basically take it and I spin it, but not only spin it, but I spin it as I'm putting it on my head.
Oh, okay.
So it's this whole movement.
Ooh.
And if you add it,
smooth.
if you add it along with some choreography,
It looks really cool.
it can look really cool and smooth.
Nice. Okay.
So that's one little, thing. I don't have anything like juggling or anything, but
Me either.
that's
Okay.
my thing. I can do like...
Ooh, I can't
that's
even
it,
do
but,
that.
yeah,
So.
but I never get to do that in a show. Nobody wants to see that.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love your little hat trick. It's like it should be in like all that jazz. Like
Yes.
Chicago.
Yes. You know what? If you watched Chicago back, I'm sure
You did it?
I'm sure I did it. If ever I had a brim on my hat, you bet I was probably trying to put that in. Okay. What are your eating habits like during performance days?
Honestly, my eating habits as a person aren't that great. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a pretty like set schedule. Whereas
So
some
I
people-
guess like I'm not trying to get you to expose diet secrets or anything. But,
Oh no, I know.
But like some people will stay away from dairy, cheese, like
Okay.
milk, stuff like that.
I don't really stay away from anything.
Okay.
I mean, I don't
Throw
really.
caution to the wind.
I don't really eat.
I trained
much.
myself, and I didn't train myself to not eat.
Yeah, but I also don't really eat very much dairy in general. So stuff like that people think affect your voice, I don't in my day-to-day life have much of. So I've just never really thought about it.
And that's the thing. That's the other thing is
Yeah.
sometimes it's so psychological.
Yeah.
That if it's something you don't think about, then
Yeah.
it might not affect you.
If I want to eat something, then I'll eat it. I don't really think it affects my performance typically. Yeah.
All right.
Normally before I sing, like if I'm singing a lot in a show, I'll eat some sour candy because sour candy gives you some saliva, and so you don't want your mouth to be dry when you're singing.
Okay.
So gets everything going.
Staying.
So that's typically what I'll
Little
do if I'm
singing
in,
hacks.
if I'm in like a singing heavy song or eating something with like gelatin, like gummy bears, that helps too. Get some
Oh yeah,
moisture
Jake
locked
has
in.
said that.
Jake also does Lay's potato chips because during Putnam he would eat Lay's potato chips and he'd be like, "Do you want some?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "It helps." Fun fact about Jake.
Okay, your turn.
Oh, I'm actually out of questions.
Oh, you're out of questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
I'm
going to keep rolling.
sorry.
Okay, Peyton's out of questions.
We can
I'm
go
gonna
back
keep
and
going.
forth with yours though.
Okay, that's fine. What was it like working with Toto? For those who don't know, Peyton was Dorothy in Wizard of Oz
Yes.
and had to act alongside the dog. So what was it like?
He was so cute. His name was Riley in real life. Riley was so cute, but it was very difficult. I remember at the beginning of rehearsals, I had him. Like even in music rehearsals, I just had him, so he was like used to me. And I was just trying to flip my page. It's when we were doing the end of Act 1, where everyone's like, "We're off to sea, we're off to sea, we're off," blah blah. And I was trying to like look at my sheet music because you're in the middle of music, and he was running all over my script, and I was like, "Stop." And so that was difficult. Some days he wouldn't do the tricks. I would give him treats, obviously, but some days during performances he was not feeling it.
And that must have been tough to decide, like, when do you give up and just, okay,
Exactly,
the dog's not
at
doing
some
it.
point you got to just move on.
Right.
So that was difficult, kind of gauging that, and then also staying serious because the audience would laugh at that naturally because it is funny.
Mm-hmm.
But as an actor, you have to stay in the scene and not break character.
Yeah.
And so that was another challenge. Also, there was one time where, so Allie, she had to like, I don't know if it was her, but like let go of the dog and I would like catch the dog. And one day she let go and the dog ran out the audience instead of towards me. So that was really difficult. I didn't even know what to do.
Wow, what happened?
I had to run into the audience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Screaming Toto in your Dorothy voice, right?
Yes, but I was internally panicking. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to remember my lines after this. So it was an amazing experience and so fun. And he was such a sweet dog, but it was definitely super difficult. It's like working with animals and babies are so hard because they're so unpredictable.
I haven't had to work with an animal, I don't think.
No. Well, there's a first for everything.
Interesting, yeah.
Well, when you were in Legally Blonde, you didn't like hold Bruiser or
Oh,
the other
I
dog?
did hold Bruiser. Yeah, the only time I held Bruiser was when I was searching for Elle's books when we first got to her dorm room, and I lifted up the dog to see if it was under there.
Well, that's still working with an animal, so.
Yeah, and I did it just for the physical comedy thing. There's been some remakes and some revisions of some Broadway shows.
Yes.
And I know that you love a good new take
I do.
on a Broadway show.
I do.
So what's one old show that hasn't been reinvented that you would like to see reinvented?
Ooh. Honestly, I want maybe not a different take because I don't really know exactly how you would do it differently, but I would like Bye Bye Birdie to be revived on Broadway. I like that show. I would love to be in that show.
Interesting. You know, there's a song called The Smartphone Hour.
I love the Smartphone Hour.
And
I think it's so
Be
funny.
More Chill. It is so funny.
Yeah.
I love that song.
But it also is
I loved that because I appreciated that it was named after, obviously,
Bye
the
Bye Birdie.
Bye Bye Birdie
Yes.
song, The Telephone Hour. So it kind of proves that, hey, this can be redone.
yeah, it could. I guess it could be redone in like Bye Bye Birdie in like
Because they redid
2024?
Footloose. They redid Footloose.
yeah. So I would like to see them try to do a modern take on Bye Bye Birdie. I like that show. I like it as it is, but it might be fun to try to. I'm not saying if it would be good or bad. I really couldn't say because right now I couldn't envision it in modern day, but I think it's possible, and I would like to see that on Broadway again because I really do have a soft spot in my heart for that show. I've never been in it, but I would like to be.
Okay, so if you could choose the next musical to be made into a movie, what would it be? Hollywood says, Peyton, you pick.
Ooh,
What are we doing?
that would be a really tough decision. I feel like I would have so much.
Well, you're such a theater lover that you love
I am.
Or, if this is easier, you can answer, what movie do you want to see be made into a musical? What's your favorite movie?
Well, my favorite movie is 2016 Greta Gerwig's Little Woman, which Little Woman's already a musical, but it's not the same. I love Little Woman the musical, but the 2016 version movie of Little Woman is not the same as like script as the musical and the original movie. The reason I love that movie so much is because they give so much substance to some of the girls that don't have substance in other versions. Like Amy, she has so many, like she has great monologues in that movie. Like
That she doesn't have in the show.
No, which I'm about to take and use because they're really good monologues actually that were rewrote for this new version.
For like auditions and stuff you're talking about.
But yeah, because they're really, I don't know, I really like the substance that they gave some of the girls that aren't Joe in that version.
Right. That's cool. Random question. If you can take two of the characters you've played and cast them in a buddy cop movie,
Oh, wow. These are crazy questions.
What two characters would you pair up? I'm going to pick one of them just for fun. I'll just get you started. Dorothy Gale. Detective Gale. It's a random question. I don't know.
You know what I think would be a funny pairing? Ellie Blake and Adelaide would be so random. And I don't know if they would have much. I don't think they would have anything in common, actually. And I think that would be an interesting pairing.
Yeah.
I don't think they would get anything done, but it would be interesting.
They'd have some good duets together.
Very interesting duet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll say that. I don't know.
Okay, let's move on.
Wait, what was the question before that we were talking about? Because I was going to say something.
Basically reinventing old shows.
Oh, a movie that I would like to see be a musical, which would be kind of like the Notebook vibes, I guess, is 5 Feet Apart. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Mm-mm.
It's really sad. It's like a romance movie. But I think it'd be a really good musical, actually.
Okay.
So that's a movie I would turn into a musical. Be
Awesome.
a little heartthrob, a little heartbreaker.
Mm-hmm. You've played a male on stage before.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, but have you ever had to wear facial hair?
I actually have not.
No, so you haven't had to do the spirit gum facial hair thing?
No. It sounds fun, honestly.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Anybody who's worn spirit gum, I think will attest. It lingers. I mean, that stuff stays on you.
That's the worst.
For days. But not only that.
It's like eyelash glue. Like how it stays like in your eyelashes sometimes, and you're like, oh, can't get it out.
But still, sometimes with the spirit gum, like that mustache will still fall off.
Oh yeah,
like,
but then it stays on. Like you can't get the spirit gum off.
I remember I had to wear a fake mustache at the end of Little Shop the last time I did it. I was so sweaty and worn out by that time. Like there was no adhering anything to my face because it was just so wet.
Right.
And my mustache kept like slowly, you could feel it sliding off a little bit.
Ooh.
So like at one point it almost fell off and I like held it up and I was like, just kind of acted like I was pondering for a minute. I'm like, let me think. And I was pressing it as hard as I could. All I had was one more line and then I ran out.
Yeah.
And so I basically held it on and then let go, said my line real quick and ran out.
That's funny.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay.
Yeah. No, I've never had facial hair. I've played boys, but never had to do facial hair. I've had to do dirt. I've had to be painted. Because I played Pinocchio when I was younger, and Pinocchio's technically a boy, and I had to get painted head to toe. That was fun.
I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Are there any improv moments that you remember where you had to just figure it out during a scene?
There's been quite a few moments where I've had to do that. I can't, necessarily put my finger on one specific moment.
So nothing traumatizing then.
Nothing
That's
traumatizing,
good.
no. But this isn't an improv moment, but it's definitely in the same context. When we did Wizard of Oz, I was going to forget my line. I was saying lines, but I knew that the next line I said, I don't know why. I just drew a blank. I was like, I'm not going to know this line. And I don't know how, because there was no buffer period yet, because I hadn't missed that line yet. But Jake somehow saw some sort of panic in me that he just said the next line for me. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, Jake comes through on stage.
But it was so quick, snap of a finger, no silence at all. And I was like, how did you know I was going to forget that line? He was like, I could just tell.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you.
You actually asked me this question, but I wrote it down as well. Do you have any sort of ritual before a show?
It depends on the show. I don't really think I have anything super specific. But normally on the way to the theater, I'll put it depends on what my Broadway obsession of the time is. But I'll normally put on a cast album and just belt my little heart out. And then I'll call it good. That's my vocal warm-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much it.
What's it like working with Ricky Van Lent?
Oh, it's just amazing. Oh, my favorite actor to work with. No, it actually is seriously super fun.
We've had a lot of fun on stage. You've always been so fun to work with.
Yes. Yeah, we just have a good time. I think it's very experimental. We've never had I don't know. We've always had room to kind of mess around.
And that was another thing about Spelling Bee that we did together. I remember I was obviously one of the first people out. Mm-hmm. And I remember being off stage and seeing you and Jake. Somebody was doing a scene at the front.
Oh, it was when we were looking at the trophy,
When you guys were looking at the trophy.
Oh, my goodness. That was so fun. I have so many
night.
videos of us changing that every night.
Yeah. I just remember watching you guys off stage and going, gosh, they were just having so much fun.
Yeah.
And
that part was my favorite part of the show because we always feel he would say such silly things like, oh, we need to clean this trophy. Look. And he'd blow on it and wipe it. And he's like, we can see our faces.
Yeah.
And then I'd always be like, do you think the answer's on the table? And we go look. at the table.
Yes.
And it was so much fun.
I would love to do an episode of this podcast with all 6 spellers on.
I would cry.
I'll get two more microphones and all 6 spellers come on.
I would get emotional. Let's do a little reunion.
Yeah, well, we were talking about a reunion dinner, and I think we should just do a reunion podcast episode every year.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Yes, I love that.
it.
Peyton, thank you so much for joining me at the
thank you
Fireside chat.
you even have a fire.
Yes, we have the
I didn't even
electronic
notice
fire
that.
going on.
I had
Yes.
so much fun. Thank you for letting me have this little chat with you. It was so fun to talk about our theater experiences before I go off to college. So
Enjoy college. Oh, Nolan did have a question. Real quick, one more. Are you excited about college?
I'm very excited about college. I am nervous, but I'm excited to be able to perform every day and learn new things from new actors and directors, and to be around a lot of young people who are, frankly, a lot better than me. Because I've seen all those people, and not all.
When you embrace that, you can really grow.
Yes, and I've seen them perform because went to Phoenix a couple times to see their program, and everyone there is a triple threat, and I'm so excited. I'm not saying everyone in Havasu is a triple threat too. Much talent here, but I'm so excited to be with people who are going to push me because they're really talented, and I need to rise to the occasion. So I'm excited for that.
Well, we can't wait to have you back when you get through your first semester of college, and
thank you.
When you come back to visit, you'll definitely be back on an episode.
Perfect.
So,
I love it.
Good luck to you on behalf of the Miss Q.
Thank you.
And until next time, there is no excuse for a Mr. Late Q.